Hello, my name is Trisha Turner and I'm with Turner Design Group, and we are here to talk to you about boxwoods. There's a lot of boxwood stuff going around, and in the last month with consultations, people have asked me, what's going on? Should I install boxwoods? So here I have Jeremy Hertz. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Hertz. My company is Family Tree Doctor. I've been in business in Livingston County for just about 30 years, and I am a board certified master arborist. And I, like Trisha, get to drive around and see what's going on in the county.
And if you are a Turner Design Fine Gardening client, you are very aware of Jeremy's services, because our staff does feel knowledgeable to be able to say, something's going on with your boxwoods, would you like us to refer you? We do direct referrals as well. We hire Jeremy as a subcontractor, and he does fabulous, great feedback from all of our clients as well. I'm a happy contractor because the boxwoods at our properties are looking lush and gorgeous. So awesome. Can you tell me, Jeremy, because I feel like anyone that was like, well, we'll see if this boxwood stuff's really an issue, because it's really hit Livingston County in the last, I would say, year and a half. But what are you seeing right now? Because you and I have been in communication about this.
Right.
And I'm like, what is going on?
Well, what I'm seeing right now is basically we're coming out of winter. So we see a lot of boxwoods. There's some yellowing. There's some things that kind of point to what we collectively call winter damage. And I think that's a dangerous diagnosis, because if you have box tree moth, early infestation will mimic winter damage. So you could be lulled to sleep and not do anything, thinking that it's just winter damage and it will grow out. However, if it is box tree moth, it will not grow out. It will get progressively worse, and it'll get to a point to where you wish you would have done something earlier.
Thank you. And something you and I talked about on the phone as getting ready for this video is the content and the pictures that we have to show our audience. And you and I were talking about boxwood leaf miner, boxwood blight, and then boxwood moth. What are the signs so we can empower our viewers to know what to look for?
Sure. Probably the most important insect pathogen of boxwoods before box tree moth was boxwood leaf miner. And right now, if you were to go out and look at your boxwoods, if you look at the leaves, you'll see yellowing or lighter green spots. And each one of those spots inside the leaf, protected by the upper and lower epidermal layers of the leaf, there is a tiny little larva, and they eat the contents of the leaf from the inside. And so that, if you had a boxwood leaf miner, in about 3 to 4 years, you would have a devastating situation. So that was the most important. Now with box tree moth, you can have a problem in as little as a month or two. So that's changed. Other than that, the most important problems of boxwood in our area are boxwood blight, which is a fungal pathogen. There is no cure for it currently. And if you have boxwood blight, the recommended course of action is to remove the planting, affected planting, and maybe its neighbors on either side. It's something that can get into the soil and persist. And so if you replant boxwoods right away, you can have the same issue come back. So that is really, really bad as well. There's also boxwood mites. If you look at the top surface of the foliage, it looks like somebody took a little etching pen and did little calligraphy writing on it. White spots to little etching lines. And all of these things can be present at one time. And that's what makes boxwoods tough to have this year. But we both know that people love boxwoods simply because it's an evergreen. It's deer resistant, which is huge in Livingston County.
Slow growing, which means low maintenance.
Low maintenance,
You bet.
but that's changing. So,
how do you know if you have box tree moth?
well, box tree moth is very tricky to diagnose in its early stages. The larva overwinters in a tiny cocoon. It actually sews leaves together and makes a nice cozy sleeping bag for the winter. And so right about now in April, it's going to emerge and begin feeding. When that happens, the very early feeding damage, it looks like skeletonization. What that means is on the top surface of the leaf, they'll kind of eat away the top surface and they'll leave all of the fibrous parts. And so you'll see little brown etchings on the top side of the leaf. And then further on, when the caterpillar goes into other moltings or instars, it gets bigger and bigger, and then it starts to consume large portions of the leaf. You really have to dig into the plant. You can't just look on the surface and see it. It's very well camouflaged, and it likes to hide in the interior of the plant. So you really need to stick your nose in the plant. What I do is I kind of part the foliage and I look deeper. And a lot of times what I'll see is webbing, and that webbing denotes box tree moth. Now it's different from a spider webbing. There are generalist spiders. Like I had a client say, I've got webbing all over my boxwoods. So I rushed over to see it, and it was just funnel spiders. If your webbing is on one plane, that is a funnel spider typically. But in the interior of the plant, if it's indiscriminate and it is holding little, it looks like coarse pepper, and that is frass. And frass is a nice word for insect poop. So the frass will hold some of the discarded leaves that are not totally consumed, parts of leaves, and the frass.
So what is the difference then with boxwood blight? Because we have a lot of people that are like, is it boxwood moth, boxwood blight, or both? What does boxwood blight look like?
Good question. Boxwood blight will typically, you will have an entire leaf, but it will turn brown. With box tree moth, those leaves will have large parts missing. So if you see leaves that look like they've been cut away or munched on, that's box tree moth. If you have leaves that have died and been retained on the plant, they may have some black spots on them, and they may be dropping entire leaves onto the ground. That's typically boxwood blight.
And then if someone sees this, you come out and diagnose, it's found to be that it's boxwood moth. What is the management or the treatment process, or is there any?
There is. It's controlled very well with a variety of products. Homeowners can get this stuff. I know that Tractor Supply, Home Depot, Lowe's, local hardware stores all have what we collectively call pyrethrins. That is a chemical that plants manufacture for defense purposes. And what we've done is we take that and we manufacture it in the lab or in the factory, and we make it available. So they're called synthetic pyrethroids. And one of the things that you can spray is called bifenthrin. That's the active ingredient. It's called different trade names. At Tractor Supply, it's called Wisdom. Where I get mine, it's called Tallstar or Crosscheck. So these are all different brand names of the same product. You can also spray, it's called Bacillus thunbergiensis, and it's the same product that the state used to spray aerially for gypsy moth. And it is a bacteria that you spray on the plant, and if the caterpillars consume it, they get in a stomach bug and they die. The problem with that is they have to consume it. So that means they're feeding. But it can work, but it's short-lived. If you're going to do any sort of topical application, you have to always follow the label guidelines. there are off-target things that you don't want to be contacting.
And because you and I are both commercial applicators for pesticide, we're very aware that there's a certain time that it's critical to apply these products, whether it's with the larva cycle, the bug cycle, as well as temperature. So can you go in depth a little bit about that to make sure that if people are going to apply themselves, they're doing it properly?
Sure. With box tree moth, there can be in Michigan 4 to 5 generations.
Whoa.
So what that means is if we're waking up out of winter, we have a larval stage coming out of its hibernaculum, it's called, and it's going to be feeding. It can pupate and become an adult in 3 days, and then the adult can fly up to 5 miles away.
Holy
so
cow.
We have to be very vigilant. However, what that means is the early instar, the early caterpillar stage, when the caterpillars are very small, you can spray BT. When the caterpillars are larger, BT is not as effective. However, there's going to be multiple generations per plant. So it's not like in an insect that has one generation where if you spray it at its vulnerable stage, that's it. You'll have others flying in, and if you can do all the management you can on your plants, but if your next door neighbors do nothing, then the adults will fly over and repopulate yours later in the season.
And this is exactly why the conversations I'm having with alternative design clients and prospects that want to install boxwoods or are considering it, we have this honest conversation because most people want low maintenance. And if I can tell that the moth is across the street, who knows if that client or that person's going to take care of it. So it's a conversation that I have is, how much maintenance do you want to do right from the onset of the planting,
right?
In management, or is it something that we should look at a different design schematic or a different plant?
It's a conversation you have to have because you're either going to have to choose a different plant or you're going to have to manage it because if you do nothing, it is going to affect you very negatively.
Absolutely. So then let's flip the switch. And what about boxwood blight? If people have boxwood blight, what is the management, if any? How do you proceed?
Well, with any fungal pathogen, I always think about Michigan State. Going through my pathology class, you have the disease triangle. On every point, you have host, pathogen, and the environment. If you take out one of those 3 things, you don't have infection. So with boxwoods in an established area, really the only thing that you can really manage is the environment. So all things fungal like moisture. So the daily irrigation, is it over irrigated? Is it in a shaded spot? Is it an area that is not going to dry out in a timely fashion? These are all areas that tend to get boxwood blight first. If you can adjust the irrigation, perhaps begin your irrigation not at 4 a.m. when it's dark and it's going to stay wet for hours, but maybe water it later when the sun is already out, so you have maximum dry time. That will help to prevent and kind of take away that environment. But if you suspect that you have it and it is confirmed, there's no treatment. We have to remove it, destroy the plants, and then you can try to prevent infection on its closest neighbors or any of the other boxwoods on the property that you're concerned about.
And I have had a few people that love and adore their boxwoods. They have boxwood blight. It's confirmed. They want to take out boxwoods and put new boxwoods in. With that process, do you recommend a certain depth of soil excavation in cohesion with a management program? How quickly can people replant if they just absolutely have to have boxwoods?
Right. Well, I experienced that as well. And I think if you're going to take out diseased plants that have dropped spores into the soil, you really have to remove a lot of soil just to be sure. I've had clients use a blowtorch and they try to sterilize the area. I'm not sure of the effectiveness of that, and I'm not sure how dangerous it is for the surrounding plants, but fire is a good sanitation. Some people will say, what about fumigating? Fumigating in the landscape is very difficult and very expensive. So that's not really, I think it would be cheaper to remove the soil and replace. So there are some people that they will remove the boxwoods and they will let it fallow for a year, and they will see if it pops up anywhere else in their landscape. And if it does not, then they'll go through and do the management to replace. But it's a terrible thing to have confirmed in your property. And as a matter of fact, when we go into confirmed boxwood blight sites, we put booties over our boots and we look like we're CSI crime guys because we don't want to pick up the spores and transport them anywhere else.
That's incredibly responsible. We disinfect all of our tools when gardening, going from site to site, and we've done that for many years.
Sure, we do that.
But I like the boots. That makes sense.
Yep.
If someone has boxwoods and how do they know if they're too far gone, if they're seeing some of these signs that you're talking about? Are they savable?
Well, it depends on what issue we're seeing. I think with box tree moth, from the last couple of years in Livingston County, we've seen almost total defoliation, but then the plant will bounce back if it's the first time that it was defoliated. If it bounces back, it repopulates its foliage, and then it gets hit again. That's all she wrote. So that's a tough thing to happen. If you have boxwood blight, you're going to see yellowing, discoloration, browning, and it'll just the foliage will drop off, and that's you'll see just the bare twigs. And so when you have that situation, you really need to have a lab diagnosis. So Michigan State is probably inundated with boxwood blight samples, but it would be good to before you rip everything out and change your landscape drastically and spend a lot of money and resources, it'd be good to confirm that. So I think it's best to call an expert if you're seeing any sort of symptoms that you deem as abnormal, and you are the first responder in the situation as the homeowner. You know what it looks like normally, and you can kind of look at it and say, that doesn't look right, and then call an expert.
Is it safe to plant new boxwoods? That is the next question. If, as we know, the English garden look, hedges, there's just not a great comparable plant. So for the people that I'm talking with, what do you recommend?
Well, what we're seeing is that it's very expensive to replace. So I think it's still cheaper to maintain what you have. I have one client in Farmington Hills that probably has about 300 linear feet of 2-foot tall boxwood. So for her to replace that would be extraordinary. So it's much cheaper to maintain. Adding boxwoods, if you already have boxwoods and you want to add to that look, I think you have to also know that there's going to be some management that goes along with that.
And then the next hot button question is, what is the closest comparison to a boxwood in your opinion, for people that want to take out and not have to deal with the blight, the mites, the moth?
Right. Well, in my practice, everything has problems that we see. So, but the closest comparable plants to boxwoods, the Japanese holly, inkberry, taxus or yews. The problem is what sort of a microclimate is the plant going to be in, and is it a high deer pressure? Because what we've seen this year is a lot of deer damage on yews and arborvitae, and also we've seen when people plant inkberry and Japanese holly, if it's not a full sun situation, they can look fairly sparse. So it's difficult to replace. It's important to know what a healthy plant looks like, And again, if you see anything, if you see something, say something. Call Trish, call myself, call somebody that kind of knows what a healthy plant is supposed to look like, and we can diagnose what's going on early. An early diagnosis is much better than letting it progress to conditions that make it much more difficult to control. So remember Prevention Magazine, you sit there before. Prevention is much cheaper and easier than reactive management.
I can't agree more. And in addition, we both, Jeremy and I, are Sparties, and we absolutely use MSU as a resource. The MSU extension, a lot of people don't know, but it's a free resource that you can send pictures in and ask the extension. They also prefer incredible diagnostic testing from, I've submitted boxwood samples before, and they've replied to me, can you bring in the whole plant? So it's like, they're incredibly thorough. They're any Turner Design client that we've used the MSU labs is provided with their incredibly thorough report. It's very impressive and very detailed. So please, if you have a question and you either don't want to wait for Jeremy or I to take a look, you can always work with MSU Direct and provide us with the diagnostics, and we can provide a solution that fits your budget, your expectations, and meets your family's needs for the longevity of your landscape.
They can call me. My number is 586-839-5444. You can call or text. You can send me pictures. I can come out and take a look. The tree doctor still makes house calls. So if you have any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them.
And what services do you provide, Jeremy, so our audience can know?
Well, we do obviously insect and disease management, but we like to do the prevention. We like to keep plants healthy, so we do maintenance activities. We do soil improvements. We do ornamental pruning. We do consulting, and basically anything plant healthcare related, we can help you with.
And I'm Trisha with Turner Design Group Landscaping. You can contact us 800-570-0675. You can also go on to turnerdesignmi.com and schedule an appointment right on our website, or contact us and you can attach pictures and things and some information and things like that. We are a landscape design build company, which means we complete design, installation, fine gardening, bed maintenance, commercial snow removal in Brighton and Howell. And we work with Jeremy. If you call us and you're interested in just insect and disease treatment, we direct refer you to Jeremy. If you're interested in our fine gardening program and you just don't want to deal with multiple contractors, then we do use Jeremy's team as subcontractors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.